consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it. So, but I will speak to the DOJ.
Why would she be handed at the clemency, sir?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to speak to the DOJ. I'll look at it. I have a lot of people have asked me for pardons. I call him Buff Daddy has asked me for a pardon.
That the government took a big swing at him and basically tried to take his entire fortune and net worth and the rest of his life.
So it doesn't mean that the government can tell him what job to do.
Diddy's worst nightmare just became reality. Michael Franzese, a former capo in the Colombo crime family, who spent years behind bars, has revealed that Diddy was attacked with a shiv in prison and barely survived, but the real danger for Diddy might still be coming.
Concerned that Sean Diddy Combs could be assaulted, violently assaulted. Is that a thing? Because based on what was said in court, it feels like a thing.
Yeah, it clearly is a thing. I mean, they're already, and he did not want to make a big deal of it. They already tried to shank him once at the MDC, and that was thwarted. And it happens in prison. I mean, you and I could tick off how many times we are aware of somebody getting seriously injured in prison. And so they're going to have to keep him somewhere that they can keep an eye on him. It would have obviously been better if he had gotten less time and had been at a camp, but he's going to be in a facility where somebody's going to have to, from the BOP, and I think they're well equipped to do it if they can, to keep an eye on him because he is a target.
Diddy's lawyers are now bracing for the worst after his close friend, Karuchi Finney, revealed that his life is in serious danger. An inmate armed with a shiv reportedly slipped into Diddy's cell in the middle of the night and tried to kill him. This marks the second attempt on his life, and shockingly, it's not even the biggest problem Diddy is dealing with right now.
In prison by an inmate. It is now being reported that an inmate that is housed with Diddy in the MDC has held a shiv to his neck. And this isn't the first time that we are hearing Diddy say that he was threatened by an inmate with a shiv, so I'm not even sure if I believe it. But now we're hearing of the second attack that Diddy is facing in the MDC from his best friend Charlucci. A lot of people will remember him from the Diddy trial where he was caught outside a lot of the times wearing a Free Puff t-shirt. He was always there to support Diddy. Now Diddy's best friend is alleging that an inmate snuck into his room while he was sleeping and held a shiv to his neck. He then claimed that Diddy woke up, but he doesn't know if Diddy fought off this inmate or if the guard stepped in. Diddy's friend Charlucci is claiming that he believes that this inmate was just trying to intimidate Diddy because he said if he wanted to, he could have harmed him. And this is not the first time that we are hearing that Diddy was allegedly attacked by inmates. Diddy had submitted a letter to the judge before his sentencing hearing where he was claiming that he was attacked by an inmate with a shiv for wanting to sit in the chair that Diddy was sitting in. And in this document, Diddy was basically saying this is one way that you could tell that he is a changed man since he spent time in the MDC, because he said usually he would have fought back against this inmate with violence. He said he didn't, and he de-escalated the situation.
Is currently waiting to be transferred to a federal prison at the Metropolitan Detention Center in New York. Right now, he's a marked man, and the inmates around him know that taking him down could earn them serious favors. Diddy might believe his money and fame can protect him, but when someone's truly determined, not even fortune can stand in their way.
Had something very scary happen to him. One of his close friends is speaking out and saying that while he was sleeping at the MDC Brooklyn jail, somebody came and put a knife, pressed it to his throat. Now, as I keep digging into the story, they're saying, yes, a correctional officer or a police officer was the one who came and basically helped him out and quote unquote saved him. Yes. And so, obviously Diddy's lawyers are trying to use this as a way to just get him even moved to a different location. But right now, everything is kind of staying as is.
Yeah, his safety being an issue when he's supposed to be, I think in some sort of protected environment. Remember MDC? Isn't that where the Epstein situation happened?
During Diddy's sentencing, his lawyers revealed that this wasn't the first time he had been targeted. In fact, someone had already tried to shank him before. Diddy's attorney, Mark Geragos, explained that it's not just physical attacks Diddy has to fear, but sexual assault as well. The nature of his charges and the evidence presented against him have made him a higher-risk target behind bars. In prison, offenders accused of crimes against women rarely survive long.
Is he safe though? And you say something about him getting stabbed?
I was going to say, Diddy's team is saying no, he's not going to be safe, because in court, we found out that there was an attempt on Diddy's life, that there was a man that attempted to shank him, but they stopped it, the correctional officers. And they say Diddy didn't even want people to know that he didn't want to make it a big deal. But of course, they're having that conversation about will he be safe because of who he is and how high profile this case is.
Right.
They're also having a conversation. Mark Geragos is a high profile attorney, a friend of Diddy's, but also the dad of Teeny Geragos, who led Diddy's defense about Diddy potentially being in court. And we can and just attacks on his life, because they say that people look at him as like a trophy or a prize, and to do something to him.
Well, what if other inmates hear all of the stuff that we've been hearing in the news all of these weeks, and they scared of Diddy?
That's not how they presented it. I don't.
That's crazy to say Diddy's a trophy. Like, he's looked at as a trophy in jail is crazy. Isn't that crazy?
But even more, Charlamagne talking about the inmates gonna be scared.
Yo, and the lawyers, when they were speaking on Diddy being in prison and the circumstances him being in prison, I didn't never hear about this, and nobody ever said anything about this. And I want to know if it's in the prison records. They said one of the guards stopped a dude from shanking Diddy. Now, I'm like, if he was doing all this positive shit in jail, and they was talking about he was all the inmates loved him, and they was employing him and doing standing ovation, I wonder what inmate was trying to shake him. Was that one of the Tupac? Was that one of the Tupac fans, or that was one of Biggie fans? Because they said that the guard, they said that in court, one of the lawyers, one of the guards stopped one of the individuals that was trying to shank him, bruh. And that was crazy. Nobody, I never, that didn't leak. Everything leaks from prison, but that didn't leak. Nobody wrote home and said, yo, dudes is in here trying to stab Diddy up. But the lawyers mentioned that today. I want to see if they're going to investigate that right there. You know what I'm saying? And base that, or he probably used that, base that on trying to help Diddy getting into one of those camps or one of those programs that, you know, he ain't got to worry about nothing.
Next voice, Nick. Former Mafia figures Michael Franzese and Sammy the Bull. Gravano claimed that if the Mafia had known about the alleged actions Diddy is now on trial for, they would have taken him out long ago. The Mafia doesn't tolerate men who abuse women, and that could very well be the reason. Diddy keeps finding himself in the CROSSHAIRS.
I mean, what this guy did is disgusting. I don't think there's a person alive, a man or a woman, especially women, who are not going to hate this guy. Whatever he did was completely disgusting. It's beyond criminal. I don't even know what it is. I look at it like he disgraced everybody. He disgraced the black race by being a black man. I know a lot of black people, and they hate him for it because it painted a picture towards all of them. I think it's being followed all over the world. If he's not found guilty, or he's cut free, or he does a short amount of time, I mean, I could only imagine what the whole world would think. This is a disgusting country.
The murders were gruesome and violent and painful, and they served a purpose. They were meant to terrify people into staying in line, right? Compare that to the things that you've heard alleged from the witness stand and testimony under oath from a lot of these young women and some of the young men who were his assistants. Compare the guys in the mob to the stuff you're hearing alleged against Diddy.
If we did that in the mob, we would be killed for it. We would never touch women and children and stuff like that. So that's against our rules, our principles. We would never get away with something like that. There was a guy, Roy DeMeo, and Gas Pipe, who became serial killer for no reason, and they were. So I mean, if he was in the mafia, he would, and we knew what he was doing, he would have been. Would be no trial.
It's not just the Mafia or other inmates that Diddy needs to fear, it's prison itself. The experience breaks people down. And according to Gene Deal, Diddy doesn't have what it takes to survive behind bars. If the pressure gets too heavy, he might even choose the easy way out and harm himself. Diddy's never gotten his hands dirty in real life. He's only ever played the gangster role in his music videos.
Because you told me he was suicidal. That's why I asked.
Everybody's when they first go to prison. Everybody's. Have you never been to prison before? You never been behind bars? Everybody's. Then you get used to it. It becomes your livelihood. You learn how to stay alive. You got a crust of bread in the corner to sleep in. Everything else is a blessing.
Yeah, that makes sense. But you knowing Diddy personally, do you think it's possible he might take his life?
It takes a certain individual to prepare himself to do a lot of years in jail. From the lifestyle that he had, I'm not saying that he can't. I just don't see him able to do time behind bars. Maybe if he be in a camp type situation, that's a possibility. But based on the lifestyle and what he's done and what he's accomplished, if he had to go behind those bars for a lot of years, I think that he may commit suicide. He do an Epstein.
Why do you think he didn't pull a Russell Simmons and leave the country?
They was watching him, bruh. They was watching him. And then I think that he had to turn over his passport. Even if you own your own private jet, they have a system up there whereas that they supposed to check your passport and anything that you need to fly as if you were flying commercial.
Diddy has been dialing everyone he can think of, trying to grease the wheels and wriggle out of custody. Jail logs reveal he placed nearly 200 calls a day to attorneys and famous acquaintances. Names and timestamps of those calls are now leaking. You won't believe the lengths Diddy reportedly considered to avoid prison, and the saga keeps getting crazier by the hour.
With having $75 million at his disposal, isn't that by nature the exact thing that they're worried about? If you have this much money, that you could make this thing, you could probably make people disappear if you really opted to.
See, this is the thing. That'll just make more trouble. Why would he make more trouble now? He done already bought off and paid off everybody he possibly could. Have you looked at the indictment? Like, he called some witnesses up to 54 times.
Yeah, 200 and how many angels? 200 something people he tried to reach out to.
Like, what are you running, a telethon or a telemarketing agency? Telemarketers don't make that many calls in one day. Or sometimes not even in a week, all depending on you was on that. You down for Diddy? How does that conversation start? Hey, what's up? You know, I really feel bad about that last time I bashed you in the face with a Ciroc bottle. Look, we good?
President Trump confirmed that Diddy's team had contacted him to request a pardon, and he's reportedly considering it. According to TMZ, Diddy could be released as soon as next week if everything goes according to plan. This is the same pardon Diddy had been pushing for even before his sentencing. His lawyer, Mark Agnello, revealed that Diddy told his team to reach out to Trump and deliver one clear message: I need a pardon. Get me a pardon.
3 days after Diddy was sentenced to over 4 years in prison on prostitution charges, President Donald Trump seems to confirm he's heard from the mogul's legal team. The comments coming Monday from the Oval Office as reporters asked about a pardon for Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's serving 20 years for child sex trafficking.
I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it, so but I will speak to the DOJ.
Why would she be a candidate for clemency, sir?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to speak to the DOJ. I'll look at it. I have a lot of people have asked me for pardons. I call him Puff Daddy has asked me for a pardon.
I love Diddy. You know, he's a good friend of mine. He's a good guy. I think he's a good guy. I'm going to stick up for him.
Trump and Diddy's ties go all the way back to the late 90s. Diddy was reportedly a guest at the president's 2005 wedding, and they ran in the same social circles.
One mogul after another. It's mogul time.
It's your boy Diddy.
ET's cameras caught them together at this New York charity event in 2008.
President Trump, as we've just played, said that Sean Combs had reached out to him. Do you know how that happened? Did he write a letter? Did somebody place a call for him? How did that happen?
I know that it did. I'm not going to betray exactly how, but I know that there has been that communication, and I know that obviously Sean would welcome a commutation or a pardon. That's no secret. I saw today with great interest that there was another person who the president commuted his sentence because of
right, a Bitcoin
what he
person who pled guilty.
Yeah, correct. And got sentenced, and president thought it was an overreach. If that was an overreach, and I forget the exact sentence, but I think it pales in comparison to Sean's. And remember, one of the things that is irksome, if you will, about Sean's, and I call him Sean, the president calls him Puff Daddy. I call him Sean as long as I've known him. One of the things that is somewhat irksome is that the government took a big swing at him, and basically tried to get him into take his entire fortune and net worth and the rest of his life, and they lost. And I think that the 50-month sentence was punitive, if you will. I think, if anything, he should have gotten some consideration for the fact that he took the gamble, he risked it, he went to trial, and basically beat all the mandatory life sentences and beat the mandatory divestiture of all of his.
The most shocking part of this whole situation is that Diddy was reportedly in direct contact with President Trump himself. One of Diddy's lawyers confirmed that the two had personally discussed the possibility of a pardon. The expected timeline for that pardon is set for next week. However, rumors suggest that nearly everyone inside the White House is strongly opposed to it, though Trump, as always, seems to have his own take on the matter.
Diddy Combs,
right?
Would you consider pardoning him?
Well, he was essentially, I guess, sort of half innocent.
Yes.
I don't know what they do. He's still in jail or something, but he was celebrating a victory, but he seems, I guess it wasn't as good as a victory. Probably, I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great, and seemed like a nice guy. I didn't know him well. But when I ran for office, he was very hostile.
Diddy could be a free man by the end of this week. We broke a story last night that Donald Trump is seriously considering commuting his sentence. And there has been a lot of fallout with our story.
By the way, commuting his sentence before he's even in a prison.
Right.
He's still at Brooklyn MDC waiting to find out which prison he's going to. But this is something that President Trump is considering, and the fact that he's considering it is causing a bit of an internal war at the White House, because not everybody in the administration thinks this is a good idea.
So we are told this, and this is coming from somebody high up in the White House. We broke that story, incidentally, that right after the sentencing, his legal team, Diddy's legal team, got in touch with somebody who had the president's ear, and that the president was looking at paperwork.
And the president acknowledged that
like 2 days later.
Yeah, in the Oval Office.
2 days later. Yeah. So we now know that Trump is considering, we're told that he's kind of waffling, he's going back and forth on this, but there are staffers in the White House telling him, don't do it. So we put this story up last night, and the White House immediately came out and said fake news.
Diddy's lawyer, Mark Geragos, recently hinted that something major is unfolding behind the scenes, and that Diddy could be back on the streets very soon. While he couldn't share specific details, Geragos revealed that Diddy has been quietly working on a plan for his release. His statement leaves more questions than answers. When someone with Diddy's power, wealth, and connections is plotting a comeback, who's pulling the strings? Who's shielding him? And what exactly will he do once he's free?
Idea about timing, all I know is everything that I read in that article looked accurate.
Well, look, that's probably some relief to Diddy's team, And
I don't know. I think they're moving ahead. I don't think anybody is counting on anything, and
right.
I but I think the reporting was accurate.
How did you hear he's faring since sentencing?
I don't know. I mean, I hopefully we'll see him soon and find out.
I guess lastly, I would ask, what do you think his future looks like?
I have the utmost confidence in Sean. I think Sean will make a comeback, the likes of which people are not expecting. So I've watched him over. I've known him for a long time. I have the utmost confidence in him.
In whatever sphere. I mean, he's done business, the
he's
music,
iconic
the
in a lot of ways, and I think he'll make it.
Diddy is reportedly trying to use his influence to secure a transfer to a low-security prison, a move that could make it much easier for him to manipulate the system and protect himself. In prison, location is everything. It dictates your safety, your power, your access, and your control. Where Diddy ends up serving his sentence could determine how the rest of his story unfolds. And if his plan works, he might still live like a king even from behind bars.